we have Dean Garvey North from Thames Water, who is going to talk to us about the war on talent. So if you'd like to welcome Dean to the stage.
Afternoon all, thanks for joining us. In my head I'm the headline act as the last one of the day, but we'll see how that goes. As I say, I'm our CIO of Thames Water and the Director of Digital Engineering. I've been with Thames about 5 months now. A great place to work. We're doing some really good stuff despite what's seen in the news, but we all like bad news. And been quite a challenging but exciting time since I've been there. So I'm going to talk about the war on talent. So are people currently having issues or struggling with recruitment? I'm assuming most people here are, and that's why we're here, right? And it's a very, very difficult time for us all, and probably has been for the past 2 or 3 years, right? Well, I'm going to go through some kind of how we're winning little battles can help us win the war on this talent and attrition rates that we have issues with. And the key thing is that it's you, and it's you guys that are here and your teams that are really going to change this, right? This is not anyone outside. It won't be your recruitment team. It won't be any external recruiters to change this. This is you and your teams that are going to have to do this. And these are just things that have worked really for me, both at Thames and when I was at Places for People previously, and at GBG, that really helped us turn around. Now, GBG was quite a sexy place to work in terms of what they did. Places for People, not so much, not a great, exciting industry, and Thames as a water industry, again, not the most rock and roll place to go and work, but we still need to bring people in. So it's not just about what you do as an organisation, but what you do as your teams. So we start with kind of the big headlines, right? So it's now become easier than ever to work from anywhere. And in some countries, they've now done these nomad passports. So you can go and work in Spain, New Zealand, many other countries, and get paid in your same salary as the country of the company that you work for, and just live in a better location. You've got the governor of New Jersey saying that he's going to change the tax rules to stop people commuting into New York, so they're not losing billions of dollars a year from people commuting. With that in mind, we've now got workers wanting to work from anywhere as well. So the big work from home during the pandemic, and that's almost become a right for people and not wanting to go into the office as much. So it's almost those workers that are out there have more flexibility, one, and two, more demand on where they work and when they work. And we're seeing that as leaders, and we have to adapt to that while also maintaining our business. With that in mind, we've also seen this big return to office. You know, a lot of the big tech companies are wanting to get people back into the office. Now, some people are saying that's because of tax breaks, other people say that's through innovation, whatever it may be. There's these two conflicting arguments where you've got workers saying, well, I can work from anywhere and I've proven that, and you've got big organisations saying, right, come back into the office, and it's finding that balance. Now, that's a very difficult balance to try and strike, especially when you've got a really difficult time in recruiting talent and how they work, how you measure their value output. And that comes down to a lot as leaders around how we measure that and what we see in value, not rather than just being at a desk, but the value they come out with, and also some of the innovations that come out with as part of that. As we strive to succeed in terms of a digital organisation and pushing digital forward, it's very difficult to collaborate. All Teams and Zoom tried their best. It's very difficult to collaborate in a back bedroom, but people have been doing it. So some other little things, you know, what makes our challenge even harder as leaders is top CEOs have been surveyed, and their top priorities are digital technology, people and culture. And that's from McKinsey, that's from Gartner, that's from Forrester's, that's from PwC, you know. So we've got the backing of our chief execs that are saying, you guys as leaders in technology have got our backing because they're our top priorities, but yet we're still struggling to bring people in. So some little wins. So first off, your brand. This is not about your recruitment team. This is not about your organisation as in the wider business organisation. This is about you and your teams and the brand that you built. I think this is really important because you will spend more time at work than you do with your families. And that's quite a sad thing when you think about it, but that's just a fact of the matter. So when people are coming to work for you and in your organisation, they want to be part of something, and not just about staff development or what the organisation does, but what you do as a technology organisation. I'd encourage everyone to have a really think about their brand and what their teams stand for. And do your teams go talk about you and what you do in the technology space? Because a lot of the time people don't. A lot of people like to moan about work. But if you get your team on board because they feel belonged and are part of something big, then that's one little battle won. Because they will do a lot of the advertising for you about the roles that you're going to have open and start talking about what you do. This worked really well for me when I was at GBG, and we had some of my team go and spend some time at AWS's global conference. And as a result of that, we see an uptake in 40% of applicants into roles that we had available. Because I had my team go and talk about the things that we were doing. And not many people had heard of us. So that's a really big thing. And everything on that brand cycle is true, right? You've got to work on all of those, which takes me on to the next one, which is around your teams and how you shape your team culture. Again, it's really important that you make a great place for people to come to work and want to work and drive it through your strategy. What I don't believe in is putting things like fun, and we have a great diverse culture because you should just have those things. If you state them, then it won't be fun and you won't have a diverse culture because they're things that you're trying to get people to do. It's like having a birthday party and saying, come and have lots of fun. Well, I judge whether it's going to be fun or not. You have to put in the work to make sure that I do have a good time. And enable your engineers to link into your strategy as well, and your culture and the people that you bring in and develop. It's really important that you kind of foster an environment where you have not just a physical environment, but you have virtual environments where people work now. And that is very difficult. I remember the days of kind of beer afternoons on Fridays, and we used to have our stand-up at 3 o'clock, and everyone would open a beer and say what fantastic week they had, or not so fantastic week they had, because we was all in an office to do so. That's more difficult now, but people can still do that, and alternatives. And focus on your skills, not just for what you need now, but what you need for the future. And that is very difficult to do, because no one can really predict the future. But actually, how can you develop your staff if you're not even thinking about what you're going to? And this is why your strategy is so important. If you wait until the point where you need those skills, you're going to continually be firefighting to try and get talent with everybody else. And if it doesn't work, you will have skilled people within your team that you can use elsewhere, I am sure. So it's around what skills you need now, but also what you're going to need. And something that I encourage my engineers to do, and my management team to do, is get involved with the tech communities. There's lots and lots of user groups everywhere. And they are full of really skilled people. Some just out of interest, some already in other roles. But it's a great place to start and really look at where you can get some skilled talent. If you speak to your engineers, some of them should be involved with them. If they're not, encourage them to do so. There's loads. I live just outside Liverpool. There's loads of Manchester user groups for different types of technologies. I work obviously down south, and there's loads in Reading and in London. They are everywhere, and especially university towns as well. You know, you've got a hive of activity in these universities around skilled talent and people that are doing some really, really clever stuff and looking at the future. Some of the things that we can't see, but they will know some of the technology that's coming down the line. I'd also then allow you to get out more and get the talent to you. You know, if you're building a strong brand and a strong culture, then your name is out there as an organisation. Talent will come find you. And again, back to the point around the technology conferences, these are really important and really, really valuable. If you haven't been to any, there are lots there, and lots of them are free as well, because if you've all got an OPEX challenge, then you know free stuff is great stuff. And these are great ways to get your team out there. One, enable your team to do more and go see some cool tech and have some engaging conversations. And two, again, talk about the good stuff that you're doing. If you don't develop your teams, they won't be interested. And I don't know about any of you, but kind of March and April seem to be performance months. And everyone sits down for their annual performance review. And most people, the last time they sat down for a performance review was about 11 or 12 months ago. And then that's how people get fed up. They don't see a future for them. And far too often we look external to bring new skills in when actually we've got some really talented people inside. It is hard work, but it does pay off. And the same as the recruitment. Really take recruitment seriously. I can't stress this enough. Far too often I've worked at places where people don't take recruitment seriously. They won't turn up to interviews, or they will manage their diary but not manage their recruitment or interview spaces. And that makes it really difficult. So actually when you're speaking to candidates who have got many, many offers and many interviews lined up, if you are not prioritising that, then you could lose some really good people when you do go external. I'd also look at how you recruit and how you run recruitment events. If you don't run recruitment events, again, I would strongly recommend doing them. They're really good, really simple to run. And a structured interview is not for everybody. You know, you could be missing out on a lot of talent because you telephone interview someone, you face-to-face interview someone, and then you may do some other form of interview. That does not suit everybody, nor does that suit how we work on a day-to-day basis. So you could be missing out on some really, really good talent pools. And we've done a few of them at Thames, and they've worked really well. And we've actually interviewed people at the time of the event for roles that they may be interested in, and actually offered people roles as follow-ups. And these people weren't being interviewed in a formal setting, but they were relaxed and they could really talk to us about what they were good at, and we could get that information out of them. Whereas usually they just wouldn't do that if they may feel uncomfortable. And so it's really, really important to do that, and then not just go off a job spec or a LinkedIn ad and down these traditional recruitment kind of avenues, because they don't always work, and they don't work for everybody. And it's about just as much as you trying to find someone as someone trying to find you. So they're really, really useful. And something I always empower my teams to do is to deliver our strategy. I will tell them why I want to do it and what we're trying to achieve, and they will come up with how. Because it's on them to help their own development and not just being told what to do. And this comes back up to the other point around these development plans. It can't just be a top-down thing, it's got to be a bottom-up. So for those team members, they've got to feed into that. And they're the ones that have got to go find the really smart ideas, and they've got to be really clever to enable us to do that. So all those mixed together, you kind of create a great environment where people want to be, they know where they're working, and they feel like they're involved. And far too often, we focus on the bad people and not enough on the goods, and then the bad overrules, and then your good people go. So we must really focus on what means to us. And then following on from that, your culture, your people, your process, your technology. If you're an architect, you probably use something like this all the time. You know, all of these things fold into one, and they create your environment. We must be aware of all of these things to build as a high-performing team, and that's kind of the goal for me. It's around building these high-performing teams. So if you look from your talent from within, and your gaps. You should have very niche gaps where you have to go out to market. And it's always easier to promote from within or to develop from within. And the traditional method still works, right? Start on the service desk and work your way through. That stuff still works, and that's a good catchment area. Getting graduates in to do that, and you create this culture in these high-performing teams where people want to progress, and you have this open trust with people, so people can express where they want to be and how they want to move. You have your open communication. There's not this hierarchical comms that need to happen every time someone's got an issue, or every time someone wants to get access to something new. These have to remain open for your teams. You'll decentralize your decision making as well. Now, again, this comes back to my point at the start around this can't be your recruitment team. It's got to be you and your teams that do this. Empower your teams to go make those decisions around the type of people that they need. You can create your guardrails to allow them to do that. But actually, if someone feels that they're adding real value, then they will talk about that, and they will openly talk about it, just as much as they talk about the opposite. And we focus on a future mindset as well. So again, continue looking forward. Now, I know we can't always do that, because we'll start doing that, and then tomorrow we'll have an outage on a system that's 20 years old, and then it's all hands to the pump to try and get that back up and running. But actually, if you know where your end state is, you can invigorate your engineers to want to get there, and then help you move there with this future mindset in mind. I put engineering approaches in there because that, for me, is a way of thinking and a way of acting and a way of behaving as part of your culture. Around defining problems, not just looking for solutions all the time, but actually understanding the problems you're trying to solve. And far too often, people start with their solutions and then try and find a problem to solve it. We've got architects, and I've had and worked with architects in the past that will say, the answer is Salesforce, what's your question? That's not understanding the problem I'm trying to solve, right? Or your answer is cloud, what's your question? Well, it doesn't work for me because I'm moving SAP for HANA, and that's going to cost me more than my budget, so no, cloud's not the answer. So it's understanding the problems you're trying to address, and getting your engineers to focus on that as well. And these are little tiny wins that you can do within your teams to help you really be successful. So to wrap up, and then I'll open up for conversation and discussion. Build your personal and team brand. I think that's really, really important. It really, really does work. If people can associate your IT organisation with something exciting, they will want to work with you. If you focus on your culture and your strategy, again, don't brand that you've got this amazing, diverse and wonderful culture, because you won't. That's a target you then hit. It's not something that you become. But you do have to try and foster an inclusive way of working with people and develop and empower your teams and their skills. And all these will then lead to a really kind of high-performing team and a place where people want to work. And the only way we're going to win this war is by making a place where people want to come and work, because then they will come and work for you, and they will come and work for your teams, and actually they will stay and develop there, and you can recruit from within, and then you can keep driving forward, knowing that you will have attrition and people will move on. And that's not a bad thing, but actually if you've created these things in place to help develop people and get people in through your door, then it's not such a scary thing. So that's all I wanted to talk at you for now. But I'm open to questions and conversation, because I think everybody has a different view on this. And these were just my little things that have really helped me over the past kind of 10, 15 years of building high-performing teams and talent. So.